Parang ang pangit. Hello, what is up YouTube? Josh here speaking. Today we're going to be looking at the super action statue DIO from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders. This is the 2021 reissue, and to be honest, I had a very difficult time trying to find him and the world. In fact, I haven't even got the world yet, but I will find him for sure because I already have DIO, and you can't have DIO without the world. But anyways, enough about that. Here he is now, looking very good in his packaging. You can see his name on the side. It says DIO. On the top, it says SAS or Super Action Statue, Jojo, DIO. On the bottom, we got some warnings, ages 15 and up, and on the right side of the box, there's an image of DIO in a standing pose. On the other side, shows the exact same image, and on the back, more images of what this figure can do, accessories, and all of that stuff. Now looking at the inner packaging, we got a clear view of DIO along with some of his accessories. Then behind it, there's another layer where the rest of the accessories are, as well as the instructions. The instruction shows all the parts that you can move with the figure, and it is all written in Japanese, so we can't read it. And now here we have DIO himself straight out of the packaging, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, this figure is not perfect. I have a few gripes with this figure, and most of it goes from the articulation, in which we will be talking about more later on in the video. In terms of aesthetics though, he does look pretty darn amazing, especially with this lighting. The paint details and sculpt is very impressive. The figure has a nice shade of orange that goes so well with the yellow, and I do love how there are parts of his costume that are painted with metallic gold. It just makes the figure look even better than it already does. Now the first thing I noticed with this figure, especially when I had a good look at his face, is that I feel like he doesn't look as accurate as I thought he would. Don't get me wrong, he definitely looks like DIO, but there's just something about him that looks kinda off to me. I think maybe it's because this figure is based on the manga and not the anime? I'm not entirely sure. Also, you can see his fingernails looks like regular human nails, where in the anime his fingers are very long and sharp. Why? Because he is a vampire. And I did research a little bit, and I found this panel from the manga that clearly shows DIO's nails are actually drawn normally like regular human nails. So I guess that's really where this is based on. Anyways, moving on to accessories, DIO comes with 3 alternate heads, and as you can see, even though this is all supposed to be the same head, just with different expressions, the hair on each head sculpt is actually sculpted different. So the first head sculpt that he comes with is this serious face, which looks pretty cool, but for some reason I feel like it's smaller than the other two. His second head sculpt is another serious face, but is slightly smiling. You almost can't tell the difference, to be honest. And as you can see just from that transition from the previous head sculpt, this one does look a little bit bigger than the other one. See what I mean? Then last but not least, we have another smiling face, but this time with his teeth out. And this looks great as well. Kinda wish we had another face where he's just screaming Zawaruto, or you know, just a really angry, like a frustrated face. I think that would have been really cool. Anyways, I'm still good with this set. I just really think that it could have been better, especially since 2 of them almost looks the same. Another cool feature on this smiling head sculpt is that they made the back hair where like it's flowing upward, which allows for more range for articulation, whereas the other 2 have their hair sculpted down, so it hinders the movement when they try to look up. Also, I would just like to point out that when I first got this figure out of the package, the neck joint was actually very stiff, like it wouldn't even move up for me. And I was just so scared to try and force it because it might snap, you know. So what I did was I used a hot water to warm the plastic a little bit, and after that I was able to move it around safely. So if you had that kind of issue with your figures, not just with this figure but with any other figures, I really recommend using hot water just to be safe and, you know, avoid breaking them. Okay, now next up for his accessories, DIO comes with 5 sets of hands and 3 individual hands that serve specific purposes. His first set of hands are the ones that came with him in the package. They are kind of like relaxed hands that you could also use for... Then he comes with a pair of widespread hands that can be used for this specific pose right here, a pair of fists, a pair of accessory holding hands, and a pair of hands holding a bunch of knives. And no, the knives cannot be removed, they're glued in there. DIO then comes with a single pointing finger for He also comes with this weird looking open palm hand that is only for his left. And then he comes with a right hand that is, well, I'm not really sure what this one is for, but it can be used to hold one of his knives like this. Speaking of his knives, DIO does come with 6 individual knives that you can put around his belt like this. DIO then comes with this battle damage street sign, which is a pretty cool accessory. I love this. You can see the details around this thing and it just looks really great. Of course, you can have DIO hold this using his accessory holding hand, and it is pretty darn sick. Almost forgot he also has this neck collar that I am not really sure I ever saw him wear this. Do you guys remember DIO wearing this in the series? Or maybe it's another thing that is exclusive in the manga? Anyways, you just need to unplug his head and put the collar over there and replug the head back. Just like that. Last but not least, for the accessories, DIO does come with his stand, and it is super inaccurate. I cannot believe they went dirty on this, because this does not look anything like the world. It's just a translucent plastic with a Jojo Bizarre's Adventure logo on the base. Oh, right, of course, this isn't the world. This is just a regular stand. A stand that you use to stand the figure. Just plug that in DIO's back like that. It doesn't go all the way in, but it does get the job done. Moving on to articulation, DIO's head can move left and right. Slight tilt, can move up only a little, which sucks, but with the smiling head sculpt, he can move up even further. And then his head can move all the way down with all 3 head sculpts. His arms can move up only that much, but his shoulder piece can be moved to allow more range of motion, so when you rotate it, his arms can move all the way up. He can also move his arms a little bit outward and forward, and yeah, that's about it. His elbows, however, can move at a pretty good range. Wrists are on a ball joint so they can rotate as well as move up and down. Ab crunch can move forward at a fairly decent amount, can move back pretty good as well. His waist can rotate. These things around his waist are articulated to allow more range of movement for the legs. His leg can move outward, move back, forward only that much, but if you twist it, he can move a little bit higher, although it's actually gonna look really weird like that. So what you're gonna do here is rotate the knee joint, and there it looks a little bit better. Can bend the knee that much, foot can go down and up, slight toe hinge, rotation, and of course, ankle pivot. Now for some height comparisons, here is DIO standing next to the Figma Darkness and Dawson model Saitama, the Figma Todoroki, and the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi Bakugo. And then here he is next to the Mafex Peter B. Parker Spider-Man, as well as the McFarlane All Might. And as you can see, even though he does seem to fit in well with most figures, he's not exactly 1/12 scale. His body is smaller, and you can pretty much tell just by looking at his head. It just so happens that JoJo characters are designed to be buff and tall, so they kind of fit in with bigger scaled figures, but normally DIO should be a lot taller than these guys, and by far, this is the only company that makes JoJo figures, so if you really want to have JoJo figures, you have no other option but to deal with this scaling. Alright, now let's wrap this up. Would I recommend this figure? Yeah, kinda. It's actually a 50-50 in my opinion. I like it for the aesthetics. It does look great. The sculpting work and the paint details are definitely top tier, and they do provide you a decent amount of accessories. The problem comes from the articulation and scaling, and that bothers me a lot because I can only put him in so little poses that actually looks good. You can try putting him in some action poses, but the lack of articulation, especially with the legs and arms, makes it a little bit difficult. I mean, even Figmas can do better articulation than this guy. Can you guys imagine what if other companies started making JoJo figures? Like, I personally think Amazing Yamaguchi would nail it if they did JoJo figures. Like, I can already imagine how it's gonna look, especially with the accessories. They could probably do the menacing effect or the stand names the same way they did with the smash effects on the My Hero Academia line. Not to mention that Amazing Yamaguchi makes most of their figures look really buff already, so I think JoJo would fit in perfectly with that line. So if they do that, I just might have to switch lines again. So what I can say is, if you're a JoJo fan and you just desperately really want to have an action figure of this character, then yeah, go get him. He is a pretty decent figure. But if you're going for articulation and you like to mix figures with other lines, then no. I don't think I can recommend this figure. I'm sorry, but that is the terrifying truth of these Jojo figures. The reason I bought this figure, even though I wasn't super impressed with it, is because I needed DIO for the next upcoming episodes of my Fig Film Hero series. Like, I had this really cool idea that I can pretty much almost guarantee that you guys are gonna love it. So, I just knew from that moment that I had to put him in there. I had to get DIO, I just had to. My instincts are telling me that this idea is gonna make everyone happy, and actually, if you're a member from Patreon, you can already read the script I've written from the upcoming episodes of that series. Although it's not final yet, but at least you can have an idea of what's about to come in the series, while also getting access to various exclusive contents. So that is why I had to go out of my way finding this extremely rare and expensive figure, because I felt that that's really gonna pay off. Plus, it's Jojo. Jojo is a top tier anime dude, so come on. That alone is enough reason for me to buy this figure. Also, if you're wondering where I got this figure, I did bought him from Hotbuy Toy Store using the Shopee app, so if you'd like to check out their page, I will be leaving links down below in the description. So anyways, that is it for this review. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please be sure to click that like button, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you're wondering if I will be getting any more Jojo figures, then the answer to that is yes. I will be getting more Jojo figures. I'll start with the world, of course, since it is essential to have the world if you already have DIO, and of course Jotaro as well as Star Platinum. And that's all I can say for now. Depending on how you guys will like Jojo contents in my channel, I might get more Jojo stuff here. Or if you guys don't like Jojo, then I'll probably stop with just Jotaro and DIO. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. Stay safe, wear your mask whenever you go outside, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
俺の責務を全うする。ここにいる者は誰も死なせない。